What's up, guys? Bear Game here, back with some more idle heroes, and today what we're going to be talking about is none other than Doom Terminator Vulcan, because, well, out of all the first groupings of heroes you can build, he's up there with Lord of Fear Aspen as one of your main heroes. Now, is he as optimal as running a Lord of Fear Aspen? To this date, no, we have not seen anything as optimal as the Lord of Fear Aspen build order. However, the Doom Terminator Vulcan order is a popular one. It's a personal favorite of mine just because, well, as you guys seen recently, we've been starting to reuse Doom Terminator Vulcan more. He's an absolutely fun hero, and now with the chances of getting giant killer copies a little bit easier, even for a free-to-play player, makes me want to talk about him one more time. So if you guys are interested in having a Doom Terminator Vulcan account, stay tuned. Let's jump right into it. Now, for me, this is one of, in my opinion, the cooler strategies to go for, because let's be honest, everybody goes for Lord of Fear Aspen because, for good reason, they want to play as optimally as possible. However, here at Barry Gaming, we like fun strategies as well. And one thing that we did attempt to do on our free-to-play that was about 2 years old by the time we dropped it, was converting an account over to a Doom Terminator Vulcan. Now, it wasn't exactly optimized because, again, we were very heavily invested into a Lord of Fear Aspen setup. And beyond that, we had a couple things a little bit wrong. Now, as far as it kind of like transitioning to a Vulcan setup, you are still going to want to do the early game the same normal strategy. You're going to build an Eloise, and then you're going to build either a Vesa, a Fairy Queen Vesa, which still is a very solid strategy, or a Hyperspace Hunter Ilamok as a first Transcendence. And remember, when you're doing the strategy, we have a whole video talking about it. All the power stays on the Eloise. These heroes become tenants and get powered up secondary to the Eloise. However, when you get to that magical 10 million, essentially, crystals of Transcendence, when you build your second Transcendence hero, that is when you can say goodbye to Miss Eloise, as much as she's like served your account very, very well, and you can transition to something a little different. In my opinion, one strategy that is pretty fun to do, and that's what we're talking about, is the Doom Terminator Vulcan strategy. So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to build a Doom Terminator Vulcan, and you're going to replace either your Fairy Queen Vesa or Hyperspace Hunter Ilamok with a secondary Transcendence hero. Now, this isn't quite as optimal as I would say going for like a Lord of Fear Aspen is, because Lord of Fear Aspen has the one huge perk of having Scarlet Queen Halora and Phantom Fire Lana, two absolutely amazing tenants. Whereas if you take a look at Vulcan, they're still really good. Going for a Doppelganger Natalia first and then into a Sun Devourer Eos works very well. What really works well with that too is all of those heroes also get to be used in the same faction, meaning you're going to get very good Sealand progression and get quite far because of that. Now, of course, our account here that we stopped, we kind of just ran out of time. We ran out of resources. One thing that is a little difficult when transitioning an account over is the number of soul symbols you'll have. Soul symbols are very important for replacing heroes. To replace a Transcendence hero, it costs 10. To replace any other hero, it costs 5. So it does get pricey. Be prepared. You need to have the resources ready to go in order to get that done. But once you do that, you can have a pretty awesome setup. Now, one thing that Doom Terminator Vulcan struggles with is very, very early on damage. So even if you have something like a Melodic Strings on him or something, you guys have seen not exactly something that works great on him. Of course, the longer he goes in battle, the better he becomes. But if you're going up against some of these really tough waves that have insane round ones, and on top of that, you're not outspeeding them, that's when it becomes a little dangerous. The important part is having the speed, but as you guys can see, that was a Melodic Strings in round 1. Not much damage getting put out right there, and that's mainly just because of the way this hero works. Honestly, Star Swordsman Mockman, Betty, Lord of Fear Aspen, they're all gonna have better round 1 attacks, and if you're going against waves like this that have insane CC in round 2 or something like that, it can get a little sketchy. Now, you can of course run him with more defensive artifacts, and that is honestly the way I prefer running him. Grabbing a Gilded Purple Fan here, jumping in and showing the same combat. Still good, just not as good, because one thing you're going to of course run into here is you're going to have all those attack swaps from ticks. So some waves are going to be very, very difficult. But the one nice thing about this strategy is the fact that you're going to have a Tenant, Doppelganger, and Natalia. I think we've shown plenty of times on our main account why that hero is such a good support hero. She's one of the tankiest heroes in the game, honestly, and she can really up the survivability of your squad. She even does a decent amount of damage without even being a homeowner. But of course, there are going to be some waves you get stuck on, and you just have to get over that power hurdle in order to get it done. I'm kind of disappointed I dropped this account, honestly, for so long, because we just missed all the holidays. We could have had a ton of progression, but that is something we are going to be transitioning to as well. As far as other heroes that you're going to be building on this account, well, Tenant situation is great. You either build a Mockman or Vulcan. Probably going to build a Mockman because you're already building a ton of light heroes, and that is one of the negatives, is you're going to be building basically like 3 light heroes very early game. Very difficult. Technically, 2C Lago is the better Tenant. I think Vulcan is technically the better Tenant in this situation too sometimes. So there's a lot of light food to be prepared for. So that is one of the big drawbacks to this, is the fact that you're going to have a struggle doing it. Now, if you were lucky enough at like anniversary or something like that to grab a bunch of those light puppets, that'll be great. However, the normal chests do not have any light fodder, so just try to save up as much light food as possible. And as you guys can see, the main reason why we haven't built the Sun Devourer EOS, number 1, we don't have the copies. Number 2, well, we don't have the food. And again, I really wish I would have kept up with this count, because we would be in a really good position to transition this very, very soon. Now, beyond that, you're going to be mainly going for defensive style artifacts, in my opinion. I don't necessarily think Demon Bells is going to be one of the better strategies for it. Building a more tanky team that can keep your Doom Terminator Vulcan alive longer, very, very important. Now, as far as sublimations go, hands down, you're going to have to go in on the active ability, because this is what all his punching power is. He does so much damage. Honestly, one of the ones that is the least necessary is the basic attack. It does have some really cool features and stuff where, you know, you can drain energy, I believe, from that frontline enemies. It's really, really interesting. 2 things that are really important. One, I feel like is the most, is probably his last branch right here, just because this is what really enhances all of his layers of charge energy. The other one is his second passive here. This one will increase his shielding, his healing, and also kind of help with his weakness disclosure. So you definitely want to make sure you're going all in on him. The other downside here is that his core isn't very great. I mean, if you compare it to like Lord of Fear Aspens, I'd say they're on par about quality wise. But again, if you're going to be doing this method, you're going to need to go for tons of cores of origin, because, well, you're going to want him to be your first Destiny transition hero as soon as possible. We will probably pick this up if you guys are interested in a Doom Terminator Vulcan strategy. We'll go more in depth on live streams and stuff, so make sure you guys come on by. We'll start picking up these accounts. We'll try to grind this out, get to, you know, like our Soulstone levels, try to get further, get to the Void bosses as well, and kind of show off what this hero can do. And then hopefully we can save up and maybe get a B+ stone down the road, and maybe get a giant killer copy as a free to play. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. That is my Doom Terminator Vulcan strategy. We're going to go more in depth on this as well. Leave a comment down below if you believe this is better than we talked about. Worse, what is your opinion? Have you guys done this? Where did you hit your brick wall? And we'll talk about it as a community. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. I'll see you guys next time.